and ready to go. Hello, everybody. Part one is in the books. Hopefully you enjoyed my segment on the NCAA $2.8 billion deal between the athletes, student athletes, and the Power 4 schools. So part one is in the books. Now it's time for part two. I'm going to be focusing on student athlete management. It's going to be, simply said, it's player management. It's all about what the student athletes are going to do, that the money is now hitting the streets. They're going to allocate a portion of that $20.5 million to each of the sports groups in the schools. But it's time to really just delve in and talk about it. And with me, I've dealt with athletes, college and pro, for many years. The guys with the likes of the Dennis Scott or Marvin Harrison. You know what was unique about some of those guys and some of my former clients? They knew the rules of the game, because to play the game, you got to know the rules. A game is a challenge. It's about winning. So winning, 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 this is what this whole thing is about with the new NCAA agreement. And it's going to take place. The new rules are going to be enacted on July 1st, 2025, which is coming up. And if you're a student athlete, you have got to be ready. So let's take a look at the first rule, or in my case, the first R. It's all about reading and understanding your financial arrangements and contractual arrangements with the university, as well as third parties. That's what this whole thing is about. Reading and understanding your contractual arrangements and financial arrangements. That's what it's all about. So when you take a look at it, you say, well, why is a contract and all this stuff is so important? Athletes of yesteryear did not have to worry about such things. They were on the room and board, tuition, being paid. And if there was money being paid, it had to be under the table, which is against NCAA rules. That's another story. I don't want to delve into that. But right now, under the new wave and the new system, we're talking about student athletes having the ability to understand, read and understand what their contractual arrangements really mean. So what does a contract do? Well, I'll tell you what comes with the contract. Conditions, exclusions, disclaimers, and financial benefits. Now, which one do you think student athletes in most of the country is so focused on? They're focused on the financial benefit. Well, what I'm going to be focused on is what you really have to know if you want to keep that financial benefit. That's what it's all about. And if the new wave athlete, to me, if he's going to be able to be adept at adapting to the new rule and be the model student athlete that he or she expects to be, you got to be the master of self-leadership, because one cannot lead others if you cannot lead yourself. That's what self-leadership is about. And one of the books that I wrote, that I authored, was Access Now, Behind the Line, The Keys to Unlimited Possibilities. It's a great book, a great read. Google it on Amazon. And what it's all about, the key rule of self-leadership that's going to govern today's athletes, and if you're one of them, start listening close, is play your game. You have to know the game. You have to know the rules of the game. That's what's important. If you don't know the rules, then you can forfeit your benefits, because you're going to have short-term athletes and you're going to have long-term athletes. People are just there for the moment. But this is a great opportunity under this profit-sharing arrangement to take advantage and help yourself. But you got to know the rules for yourself. Yeah, you're going to tell me your coaches are going to read the contracts. The general manager is going to read your contracts. The coaches on staff is going to read your contracts. They're about winning. You have to know this for yourself to stay within the rules so that you can stay on the roster. So that's what that's about. So let's take a deep dive into some concerns and some rules and some things that you should know with regard to the money and your walk in the college environment, the new college environment. So what do? Let's start out. How do you as a student athlete stay in the roster number? Bam! I'm going to give you about 9 reasons. You can count them off if you want. You got to be in the roster number because the day before, after fall camp, the day before the first game, your coach is going to come up with a roster. In football, it's 105 plus because the coaches can have student athlete designations. Those are people that got cut from the roster or whatever that was not able to take advantage of the rules as we know them now because people got cut and different things like this before the new rules were put in place. So to make it simple, there's going to be a roster. There's going to be a roster in basketball for men and women, 15 to be exact. So those are going to be a little bit easier to navigate than football. But why am I so concerned about the roster? I'm concerned about the roster because you don't get paid unless you're on the roster. That's what this is about. They're no longer talking about scholarships. They're talking about rosters. It's more like the NFL. It's more like the NBA. It's more like women's basketball. Now we're talking numbers and money. It's gone beyond room and board and tuition. We're beyond that now. You're businessmen now. On the first day, you're a businessman, as I've said in the past. And that's a concern of mine, knowing what it takes to be on the roster. Academic progress. What's that about? Well, if you're failing in your classes and you're not up to snuff academically, then why am I talking to you? You're probably not going to be on the roster anyway because you're not taking care of your business. Remember, I just told you you're a businessman. You're a businesswoman. Take care of your business. Get with your advisors to see if you're on track before the season starts, before the money starts flowing. That's what's important. What about athletic performance? Give you a little tip. Athletic performance, production is for the long-term payouts. Potential is short-term because you have this thing of this transfer portal. Everybody wants the big-time athletes on their campus, ones that want to compete at the highest level, to be on that football field and produce winning football. Athletic performance is in your control. How well are you going to perform? Off-season workouts, all of that good stuff. But that also impacts whether you're going to be on the roster. If you're running 4th and 5th team or whatever and they decide in fall camp you're just not going to make it at the university, well, then you won't be in that number. So this is all about business. It's about getting your education in academics. But athletic performance is very important for you to be in that roster number. So get with the coaches. I know they gave you a sheet after spring drills to tell you what you got to work on. Hopefully that's being done because you got to make that roster. What about injury provisions? If you're playing college football and you get injured, well, if you were probably a part of the number, the official roster when the season started, you'll probably be guaranteed for that money to be paid to you. In the NBA and the NFL, well, mainly the NBA was always guaranteed for skill, injury, and death. Football contracts now, more of that money is being guaranteed. So you want to know how much money would be coming to you if you got injured. It's just something to think. Injuries are a part of sports. That's just the way it is. Injuries. So injury provisions, how does that impact what you're going to be getting paid and whether you're going to be on a roster? That's for you to figure out. And for those that really love the portal and student athletes that like to jump around for money and different things like that, you better be sure you're on somebody's official roster. Because if you're not on the roster, you're not going to get paid. Okay, what about excluded activities? There'll be a lot of student athletes, and hopefully not, but I believe there will be, that will be forfeiting their benefits basically for personal conduct, things that are detrimental to the university and the team. Well, if you want to lose the financial benefit under this arrangement, if you want to lose it, then do some of the things that they're telling you not to do. They're called excluded activities. Like in the old NBA contracts and things like this, you could not be hang gliding. You couldn't be riding on risky water sports, race car driving. All of those things were excluded activities under the contract. I don't know what the excluded activities are going to be under your financial arrangement, but I would be finding them out. But I do know illegal activity or criminal activity is a good way to be forfeiting your benefits long term. You might, and I don't know of this either under the rules in the season, you may still get your pay, but you probably won't be a part of the team. And I'm always looking for the next roster season. You want to be a part of the program, or you don't want to be a part of the program, but following the rules. What about the team rules? How does that impact your roster spot? How does curfews, off-season training, your workouts, how's that impacting? Well, I can tell you, all of that flows right back to opening day, whether you're going to be on the roster or you're not. Are you going to be performing at a high level? If I'm on second team, I'm mad right now because the man gave me second team. And I got to work to beat the next man out because this is being very competitive. It's about making the roster. Nothing is given, it's earned. That's what this is about. What about the money flow? How are you going to get paid and when are you going to get paid? Well, normally in NFL, NBA, you get paid during the season. Well, in college, the rules are enacted starts on July 1st. But I do believe you have to be on that roster, and the coaches, I don't know if they really know their roster right now, how definite it is. Who's going to be on that roster to get paid? That's just the way it goes. I don't know how that goes. But I do know you should know how much you're getting paid and when you're getting paid. It's very important. That's what a contract and knowing your financial arrangements are. And don't get bent out of shape because somebody may be making more money than you. I don't know how they're going to allocate the money among the individual football or basketball players. You just work harder. In the pros, they get different salary scales. Trust me, they do. So that's another area. Third-party deals. If you enter into a deal with anybody, with third parties, national ad agencies or local businesses or local dealerships or whatever it is, or other third-party arrangements, anything over $600, you got to turn that contract in. Because the College Sports Commission, under Neil Go and through Deloitte, they're going to be looking at contracts to see if there are qualified business purposes involved in it. So you got to watch what you're signing because that stuff has to be scrutinized. So don't be out here freewheeling. Be within the rules that will help yourself and help your team. So if it was me looking at it and I was sitting down meeting with you, and we are basically having a meeting, is you got to know that rule. You don't want to be signing contracts for more than $600 and not having it scrutinized. Follow the rules. Have everything you sign, have it scrutinized. What about management fees? Well, if you hire anybody to work for you, they're going to want payment. That concerns me. You have to know what people you're going to trust and which ones you're not. I will get into that later in another rule. But right now, I'm just touching the surface that that's something you should be thinking about. Understand math, what you're paying others. And the ninth one, and last, is coordinating with your general manager. They're going to be the ones setting the salary structure. And they're also going to be building out the roster. Are you going to be a part of the 105-man roster or not? And if you're playing, how much you're going to be making. But the overriding thing is that I want to see out of all of this is whether you love the game more than you love the money. That's what's going to be the big thing, because I know production, if you're producing, you're always going to make some money and you're going to be around for the long term. But the ones that's just coming in for the money and for the short term and don't want to work, well, that's another thing altogether. And so this master class, I'm going to wrap it up by basically saying you have been exposed to the first R, reading and understanding the contractual arrangement with your university and the third parties. Part 3 will be the second R, and that's going to be realize the impact that taxes and living expenses have on your financial benefit. That's what's going to be my next take. But I just wanted to get it out to you guys so that you can understand that you have a lot of responsibility and accountability coming up. You're not only playing the sport, you got to get your books, you got to get all of those things to be in good stead. That's just the way it goes. So simply, this is the best information you can get from the best. This is C. Ivan Franklin on YouTube at Befrank4real. One minority voice, one view. And I loved it. Hopefully you got a lot out of this session. Go back and do your homework and start thinking about these things and talking about them and sharing them with your teammates. See you later.